Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm John Cartwright, and I'm joined with Tom Arnold, and a brand new indie world was just announced for tomorrow at 9 AM Pacific time. Tom, you are the indie guy of Game Explained, you know all the upcoming stuff. What is the one to watch? What are you most excited to see in this presentation?
Well, that's a hard one, John. If I had one big game, though, that I'd like to finally have come out, feeling done at every single PAX, despite already kind of having spread out development, not at an office probably, so they wouldn't really be impacted by COVID as much, I would love to see Super Meat Boy Forever.
It's been so long. When was that game announced? Was that game announced like 5 years ago at this point?
It's just one of those where they have a booth at PAX, they're always there, and so all the years have blurred together. So I think at one point it was on just a touch screen to tap for jump.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that's gotta be like 4 or 5 years ago. Too long.
I remember they had it in, it was either an indie presentation or an indie world, some Nintendo branded indie thing. And they debuted it in there and said it was coming to Switch. I think that was alongside the original Meat Boy, which that was a while ago. I think that was like 2017 at this point. So yeah, this thing's just been lurking in the shadows for a while now. Hopefully it's the time that it surfaces. I know Nicholas has been publishing a lot of Team Meat's work. I believe they published the Switch version of Meat Boy. So perhaps that's the hold-up, because they've had a long history of just acquiring these studios and publishing their work and then just leaving them out for a long time. Like 90s Arcade Racer, for instance, that has just been in limbo for so long now. That was originally a Wii U title, and it's still in the works and just not being released. So if I had to wager, I'd say they're the hold-up on this one.
Wow, that's a good point. Also, one thing I believe at some point they wanted to add in animated cinematics in parts of it. Mm-hmm. So maybe a lot of the game was done, and just another part they just needed more time for levels and stuff. I think they're basically trying to throw the kitchen sink into this one. From what I can tell.
Uh-huh. Indies in particular are very difficult to predict because they could be anything. And the best part of these presentations is seeing these games that you've not been having your eye on, and they just sort of take your breath away with the ideas they have. Something entirely new that other games aren't doing. And that's very hard to predict. But there are quite a few upcoming big indie games which have potential to be in this showcase. And one big one I'm thinking of right now, and this is probably one of the biggest games right now, is Fall Guys. Do you think that has a chance of coming to Switch in this presentation?
It is Devolver Digital, and they do bring their stuff over to Switch normally, like being published by them. I wonder, with Fall Guys, can the Switch support that many people on screen at once? To have up to 60, I know maybe? It's kind of like a Pikmin, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Switch does have like Battle Royales like Fortnite and other things like that. Yeah, I do wonder if it would support it. We'll see, I suppose. But I feel like they wanted to give PS4 its push with that game because it's free on PlayStation Plus. And now that month is coming to an end, I could quite see it coming to Switch. I think this is a good time to really push that game. And as we were just saying just now, it's one of the biggest games. Like, Twitter is just full of this right now. And to bring it to more platforms, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, normally I would say that's too soon, but with a game like Fall Guys, you want to keep that momentum going, and to keep the huge amount of numbers up, like what better way than to have it on Switch?
Yeah. One game I was actually looking forward to seeing was Sports Story, but they just confirmed it was delayed, and they've not said how long it's going to be delayed for, but just that it's got too ambitious, and that it needs more time in the oven. Which is fair, but Golf Story was one of my favourite games of 2017, so I was really looking forward to this, and it's a shame that we probably won't see it tomorrow. But like, is there anything else that's big that's coming up that you think is worth shouting out?
Well, you kind of look into the genres they kind of have to cover in one of these. Usually they like some 2D games, some 3D games. There's a couple coming out in September. One recently was Star Renegades, and that, I believe, was announced a few days ago at the least that it's coming out in September. And that's sort of a RPG game with this beautiful kind of pixel art style where it's almost like the pixels are applied in 3D to different, I would almost say like a transparent polygon, just so they can move and rotate like you might do in Photoshop. And that one, it looks gorgeous. I'm not entirely sure how it would actually play because I haven't played it yet, but that's a big possibility. And one that I would like to see that is not as likely, but it is being published by Team 17, is Going Under by Aggro Crab.
Ooh.
That's a roguelike. I don't think they're going to get Splunky 2, so this would be a great roguelike with great colors. I've played it. It's actually really tough. It's a game about going into dungeons of companies that have basically gone bankrupt, hence going under. That's one I would love to see on it.
To go for a big indie, Nintendo actually was the first console debut of Hollow Knight, and I think that debuted during one of their E3s one year. And Silksong was announced a while ago, but it's been quiet for most of 2020. Do you think there's a chance that could be here, or is it too early, or is this the wrong venue for it?
I was thinking about that. I mean, is it too small of a venue? At least they would get the main focus. Personally, I feel like it's too early at this point. That it might be next year, but I could be wrong. What do you think, John?
I think there's a chance. This is one of the biggest indie games. Like Hollow Knight, well, it dominated the Switch and other platforms too. And I would definitely expect Nintendo to be the ones who sort of debut a release date or even are the console-exclusive platform, at least for like a month or so, just because of how well it did on Switch to begin with. So yeah, personally, I think there's a good chance of this showing. And, you know, I'm going to double down and say it's definitely 100%, without a doubt, going to be there.
Well, that would be a huge title to base the whole show around. I mean, that's the type of announcement that would be really cool to see. And props to them if they managed to get it out this year.
For sure. Actually, one game that I think, it was either Derek or Ash played at PAX, was Infernax by the developers of Just Shapes and Beats. And it's like, it's this Zelda 2 Castlevania hybrid with just this insane level of gore and violence, and it looks incredible.
Yeah, I couldn't make the thumbnail do it justice on that one, because you get the huge blocky pixels zoomed in, people probably think, what's this? And didn't even bother clicking on it. But no, with their track record, and to be surprising that it's a pixel art one when Just Shapes and Beats is all vectors. That's neat to see. That one, they've been working on it for so many years. I think we were working on it off and on even before Just Shapes and Beats. So it's one of those where it could come out at any time. It could also be in development for another 2 years.
Sure. What about Ori? Ori and the Will of the Wisps came to Xbox One and PC, I believe back in February. Might have been March. But Blind Forest came to Switch back in September now. And I guess there's a chance that the sequel could make its way as well. It'd be weird just to bring more of those over. But the one thing holding it back, I think, is performance. Because Will of the Wisps had some performance issues on Xbox One, even Xbox One X, back at launch. And they've ironed a lot of those out, but it still isn't 100% stable. So if it were to come to Switch, there'll probably be some sacrifices, and maybe a 30 FPS cap. But this actually debuted in an indie world, and it's a stretch to call an Xbox game an indie, but they did.
Yeah.
So do you think Will of the Wisps is going to make it over, or is it a bit too soon for it?
That one, it's possible, right? It's a bit of a lull before the next Xbox. If they can apply a lot of the technology or workarounds they had for the first one on Switch to this one, maybe it's possible. I was thinking the quote-unquote indie game could possibly be grounded if that came from Microsoft Studios. I mean, they want to keep the numbers up in that one, talking about Fall Guys. That could be the indie game in quotes that is in this presentation.
You can use quotation marks for a lot of Xbox titles. Like I think Battletoads, you could probably argue, is an indie game. I think is it Dala Studios who are doing the main development? I'm pretty sure they're practically an indie. So could Battletoads be here?
That would definitely have, I think, the least amount of performance issues. It would be probably the easiest one of all three of these.
Probably.
You don't have like 3 Joy-Cons together, John. I mean, there's only like 2 Joy-Cons on the Switch, so that's your limiting factor right there. Not like you can buy another Joy-Con and play with it, though.
Get a third Joy-Con add-on accessory that just plugs it on the bottom somewhere, like in the USB-C port.
Yeah. I would love that if it was like a shadow drop, like Battletoads available day in, day out with Xbox.
That'd be incredible. Like, it feels like this is probably a bit too early to announce, seeing as it's coming out on Xbox, I think, at the end of the week. So it'd be strange to announce a Switch port right now. I could see it happening like down the line, but yeah, probably not just yet.
Yeah, let it be on Xbox a bit first. I mean, I don't mind.
Yeah.
And PC.
Actually, talking of like games that aren't really indies but kind of qualify. Travis Strikes Again debuted in an indie showcase, and like No More Heroes is a pretty big franchise, but I guess it kind of qualifies as indie. And recently we had No More Heroes HD for Switch get rated by the South Korean ratings board. Do you think there's a chance of that being in this presentation, or is that better safe for something a bit bigger?
If they want to get the game out right away, they could just put it in this one. That would be weird. I mean, that's basically what used to be, a full-on, regular developed game, but I guess it kind of is independent. So that would be a neat announcement just to sneak into it. Yeah. Either that or Killer 7, which was also recently kind of hinted at.
Right, I think that was also put out there from like a LinkedIn profile or something. So yeah, either of those two would be really great to see. It really is stretching the definition of what indie means, but we've seen that happen quite a few times in these over the years. Like Cadence of Hyrule, Zelda is not an indie IP, but like an indie studio is working on it, so I suppose that kind of evens that out. But do you think we get something along the lines of Cadence of Hyrule, like an indie developer working with a Nintendo IP?
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about, first of all, if maybe we'll get a bigger look at the new campaign for Cadence of Hyrule. It might be a bit too soon, considering it's probably the last part of the 3 different DLC to come out. That's one of those things. I'd love to see another one like that. It would make sense. But it's one of those where you have no idea until it comes out, because probably the NDA with Nintendo, the one that's least likely to be leaked or broken compared to any other game, I would say.
Yeah, very strict, yeah. I'm trying to think of like other collaborations they could do. One I put out there before is Image and Form doing Wario Land, because I feel like that'd be a really great fit. I think they're making a big 3D game at the moment, which debuted during an Xbox showcase. But they recently collaborated to make Thunderfall, which is a much larger collaborative company. So I do wonder if they could be working on multiple things at once. And for those who don't know who they are, they made the SteamWorld Dig games. And I kind of feel like that'd be a great little fit for what Wario Land is, especially since it's been like 15 years since the last one. I think Wario Land 4 on the GBA was the last proper Wario Land game. Actually, no, the Wii had one, the Shake Dimension.
Considering that angle, would also Way Forward be a good fit for a Wario Land?
They would, absolutely they would, yeah. Like their style just kind of goes hand in hand with that. And I feel like Wario Land is one of those franchises where Nintendo doesn't necessarily have to do it themselves, because indies are kind of doing like that style of gameplay already. Like there's not much that Nintendo would have to do that they can specifically do on their own. Like I can definitely see an indie taking this franchise.
The ideal one, of course, would be something like Zelda 2, made by Yacht Club Games for me, but I think they're working on a 2D game and a 3D game, so they probably have a ton of ideas of their own already. I don't think they're necessarily working on a Nintendo game. Mm-hmm. Even though that would be awesome, like they have enough awesome ideas already.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Yacht Club, do you think they're going to do anything? So they've been doing their own like little Yacht Club presentations. So are they going to save all their games for their own venues, or do you think we'll see something from them this time?
I think they'd be all for having their game shown off in a Nintendo presentation. They can always do a more in-depth Yacht Club presentation later. I mean, we could even see their... I'm forgetting the name right now, but the one by Mecha Skull for that ninja game they're working on.
Was it Cyber Shadow?
They're publishing. Yeah, Cyber Shadow. I knew the Shadow was in there somewhere. That could potentially come out at any time. It's also one of those where it could be cooking for a very long time still, because it's almost like they're striving for a level of perfection on that is extremely hard to achieve, especially by one person.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think of any like big ones that are coming up, and again, this is kind of the pitfall of this. Is a lot of the games they usually show in these presentations aren't necessarily the huge ones. Like they're kind of sprinkled in with every now and then, but for the most part, they give you some sort of debut titles that you haven't seen before, which are very hard to predict. Actually, one thing they do quite often actually is Nintendo recently have been not collaborating their IP, but just sort of publishing indie works. Like we had Snipper Clips at launch. We had the what's it called? There was the ambulance game that they published. There was also that sort of office game. They've been doing quite a few of those lately. So is there a chance we see another one of them here?
Yeah, it's about time. I mean, it's either this one or the next one would be the sort of window for that. And if it's usually one of those games that just comes out right away. I'd be all for one of those. I loved Snipper Clips. The ambulance one, that looked pretty fun from what I saw. That's one of those out of left field that could be anything. So
yeah,
but being published by Nintendo, you know, it's also got their seal of approval.
Well, Tom, is there any like big sequel or new IP from a studio that you really admire that you want to see here? Any like dream indie game?
Dream indie game. Oh man. I don't have sequels written down for my last two. The one that I played from a demo that was the most fun this year was Disc Room, by half of Vlambeer, along with some of his other colleagues, JW. And that game was super fun. It's simple. It's supposed to be coming out in 2020. Published by Devolver Digital, so likely on Switch. If that had a release date on Switch later, I'd be all for it. It looks simple, but it's actually really good where you're just 2D top-down view, trying not to get killed by saw blades spinning and bouncing around in a room. Surprisingly fun for what it is. And the other one, I played it last year at E3, is Tunic. It's published by Finji, kind of being made by one guy. It's a sort of a Link to the Past style, but in 3D Zelda game, except you're a tiny fox. That one I feel could kind of come out at any time, but I'd love to see that on Switch.
That's very cute looking. I think that might have been in Xbox's E3 2019 presentation.
Yeah,
so I'm pretty sure it was demoed on stage at one point. But it looks adorable. I can't wait to give that a shot.
Yeah, it was really fun. I guess the Xbox angle, it might be more tied with them, but I'm sure it could come out to Switch at some point.
Yeah. One game that's already actually announced for Switch is Disco Elysium, one of the biggest games of last year. I could see that not only being in this presentation, but also shadow dropping after. Because I think it was announced for Switch a few months ago now, just quite casually. So to get like a proper look at it and then just drop it immediately, that'd be a pretty big get.
Yeah, I didn't play that one, but I knew my brother loved it. Yeah, that would be quite a gritty game to be on Switch too. That would fit that mature angle and also be a really good game at the same time.
Yeah. I'm always keeping my eye on Shinen or Shinen, however you pronounce it, the developers of Fast RMX and recently The Tourist. I don't feel like they're going to show anything yet. The Tourist was rather recent, and they also ported it to Xbox One and PC, I think like a week or two ago. So it's probably a bit too early to see what they're doing, but just play The Tourist. It's a really good game. Like they're a great studio. I'll always keep my eye on them. So if they did debut something here, that'd be great, but I'm not expecting it right now.
Yeah, I was thinking, is it already time for a Fast RMX on Switch, or are they going to be working on something else? But with The Tourist being recent and the ports, a little bit early at this point, I think.
Yeah. Alright, Tom, any other big predictions for this? Or just any predictions for this?
Oh, man. Those are my predictions at the moment. I mean, we're not going to get Splunky 2. I'm going to have to play that on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, right.
not even the PC one is coming out yet. I want that game to be finished too, so the developer can start working on UFO 50, and I can have walrus battles. I'm looking most forward to that. That's the best part of the Splunky 2 news for me. It's just so hard. It could be anything.
Yeah, it literally could be anything. Probably not Smash. It could be anything but Smash, but it really could be anything. All right, so yeah, this could be a really exciting showcase, and they usually are. So, like, personally, I feel like the indie showcases are the ones that just demonstrate these crazy games that you wouldn't usually see. That's kind of the problem with like directs, is you expect sequels to all these things you already love, whereas indies show you something that you don't know you love yet until you see it. So I'm always excited for these. But speaking a little bit about directs, Tom, there have been rumours going around about there possibly being a direct this month. And this comes from multiple people, from people on Twitter, people on Resetera, pretty respected insiders. Do you buy this? Do you buy that a direct is coming so soon after an indie showcase? And if so, will this be a proper direct or another like partner showcase or a direct mini? Is it time for a proper full-fledged direct?
You know, it would be time to just build up the hype for the fall and winter release schedule. I can see a direct mini happening, though. I don't see a full direct happening. I feel like they still want to keep the laser focus of players on like Pikmin 3 Deluxe and whatever is coming after that window. I would love a full direct. I just feel either it's almost too hard for them to pull off, or just the shorter time span of games coming out sooner is better for them to do at this point. What do you think, John?
Yeah, it's so tough. In the context of what's going on in the world right now, it's so hard to dedicate yourself to a release. Like, it's very tough to say a game is coming in December or a game is coming in February, because you just don't know. And like we're seeing that with even PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. They've confirmed a bunch of games. They've not dated any of them. I'm not even expecting, full 2020 dates, because the consoles, you don't know when they're releasing yet. But when it comes to 2021, nothing is dated. It's literally just that year. So every company is struggling with this, and release dates as a whole are very tough to get out there. So I could see them doing a general direct and just being vague about everything, like just saying like, oh, this game's coming next year, this game is in development, it's to be announced. So if there is a direct, I wouldn't expect much out of it, and like as in much solidified info out of it. And if that's the case, is there a point to it? Like, is it better just to do a mini and show what's coming soon and when they're coming out, rather than just get info out there? Because info for the sake of info is kind of short-winded. Like it feels like it'd be much better for them to announce games that they know when they're coming, that they can sell very soon. So to me, minis make more sense. I would like to see a direct, though.
Yeah, I would love to see a direct. Nintendo's trend lately, though, is just to show games that are coming up like extremely soon. Even though sometimes at previous E3 conferences they've said, well, we want to show what's this year, and they'll tease some big game for later on. I could only see it happening if Nintendo feels pressure to give a reason not to just jump ship to other consoles. But I would think Nintendo understands that people usually have a Switch and something else. And considering how well Animal Crossing has been doing, how well Paper Mario did, I don't think they'll feel that pressure necessarily.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's easy to look at their upcoming catalog and be like, it's just Pikmin 3 and Breath of the Wild 2, and that's more or less it. But at the same time, they're doing better than ever. Like they offered, like, I think they reported over $1 billion in revenue for this recently. So it's crazy how well they're doing, given how little they're releasing. And we've not even had a holiday with Animal Crossing yet. Like this coming Christmas, the console is definitely going to sell even more. More kids are going to be getting Animal Crossing for the very first time. They'll be picking up Mario Kart with it. They'll be getting Zelda. They'll be getting Odyssey. So all those games that have been evergreen for a while are going to come into even greater force come this holiday season. So it's hard to justify needing to release new stuff. But like from the point of a consumer, I want that stuff. Business-wise, though, they probably don't need it. So it's conflicting.
You could have a direct that has more of a focus on DLC. You could show what's coming for Animal Crossing. You could tease at whatever's next for Smash. Maybe you have a smaller game in there. Let's say like ARMS 2 or something. Like, because we know they will never probably touch Mario Kart again.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have that kind of focus and maybe a shorter direct and manage to fill it up, but do you have to? Not really.
Yeah. I mean, they could show a Smash character. I guess showing... Yeah. I guess if you're building a reasonable roster, you wouldn't have to go all out. They can show a Smash character. They can give us a glimpse of Breath of the Wild 2. They can, as you said, show us ARMS 2. and then the Smash character. Like, that already is a pretty good lineup, and they probably don't need that much more than that. And I guess the big one too, the Mario games, the 3D Mario Collection and 3D World, especially given it's its 35th anniversary, right? Yeah, 35th anniversary.
Yeah, Mario existed not long after I was born, so yeah, probably around that time. And also, considering the recent Skyward Sword kind of rumor, let's say you do that Zelda trailer, and then it's like, oh, delayed, and then it's like, but you get Skyward Sword, and you could do something like that too.
For sure, yeah, that definitely carries the momentum. And I feel like Prime Trilogy has been rumored for the longest time. I feel like that can probably release whenever, but it's better to release it when Prime 4's later in development, because otherwise you're losing that Metroid momentum. So I'd expect that to release not soon, but near when Prime 4's nearly done.
Yeah, if Prime 4 was coming out, let's say later next year, maybe the trilogy could release by March of the previous year to give people a chance to play through it.
Yeah.
Or just somewhere in the 6 to 9 month range, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, Prime 4 coming out next year is a generous prediction anyway.
Yeah, the lead producer, like, aren't those at the start of development? I don't know, like, people change jobs, but that's a big one.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of expecting there to be some sort of presentation for general Nintendo games, whether it's a Direct or a Direct Mini. I think there's a pretty good chance of it coming later this month, maybe right at the end of the month. But in either case, the Indie Showcase isn't something to be undermined. I think this can be really good, and having things like Ori and Fall Guys there, that could be one of their better presentations as of late. So before we wrap up, Tom, what is your hype level for this on a scale of 1 to 10? How excited are you, and how good do you think this is going to be?
My hype level is a 7.
Okay.
My how good you think this is going to be is a 3, so I can be pleasantly surprised, I hope.
Alright, so my hype level, I'm going to go pretty high up there, because we've listed off some big games. We've listed Ori, we've listed Fall Guys, we've listed like Super Meat Boy Forever, No More Heroes. I don't think all those games are going to necessarily happen, but if a selection of those happen, then this is a really good presentation. So, if Ori is there, that's probably the big one for me. If Ori is there, then I'm going to say my hype level for this, I'll go 7 for you, but for what I expect this to, how good I expect the presentation to be, I'm going to match that with another 7. So I'm a 7/7.
Oh, see, you don't want to be pleasantly surprised, is what you're saying.
I want to be pleasantly thrilled.
Yeah. And no indie darling Final Fantasy VII remake or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that for me, these presentations are always better when you have those out-of-nowhere games. Like Untitled Goose Game. When we first saw that here, we're like, what on earth is this? This looks amazing. And that's the kind of thing I want to recapture with these presentations. It's like we can list off all these big games, but really it's those smaller showcases that really matter.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to surprise me tomorrow at Nintendo.
Alright, well if you enjoyed this, then let us know what your indie predictions are for this tomorrow, and how good do you all think the presentation is going to be on a scale of 1 to 10? Let us know in the comments below, and of course be sure to subscribe to Game Explain for a lot more on indies, and other things gaming too. And if you want to, you can support us on Patreon as well, where we also do the Game Explain Game Club, where every week 4 members of the Game Explain panel give their thoughts on the exact same game up until the exact same point. Right now we're doing Danganronpa, and we are around, I'd say around the halfway point, perhaps. We're getting there at least. And Andre, who typically isn't a big anime fan, or even a visual novel player at all, is enjoying this. So either watch our series, which debuts to everyone at a certain time, or you can watch it or you can just support us on Patreon and watch it even earlier, and even join in on the live recordings and ask questions yourself. So thank you for watching, and of course be sure to subscribe to Game Explain for a lot more on indies and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye!